entrepreneurs. Welcome to another episode of Entrepreneur Fundamentals. My name is Robert Bitto. Today we're going to talk about how to get a lot of stuff done. My whole life, people have asked me, how in the world do you accomplish so much in so little time? Well, it goes back to my college years. And you know what? I've always wanted to write a book called Your Syllabus to Success, or Your Syllabus for Success, or something with the word syllabus in it, because I am going to tell you how I used the syllabi, plural of syllabus, of my college classes to actually build my structure for doing things as an adult after school, especially with regard to entrepreneurship. And I've always wanted to write this book, but the book would only be about 10 pages long. I guess I could be kind of like a business coach shyster and offer a secret PDF download for $79 for what I'm about to tell you, but it's pretty basic and really only warrants a 5-minute video. And if you can get something out of it, great. If it's not for you, well, then it's not for you. But this syllabus for success, as I say, came from college. Now, I always did a ton of work in college. I was always busy, and I did 2 master's degrees and a bachelor's degree in the span of 6.5 years. And I worked a job, usually 20 to 30 hours a week, and I went to bed at 10 o'clock every single night and woke up in the 6 o'clock hour every single day. And I went running every morning for 2 miles as soon as I woke up in the morning. So how did I do all of this stuff in such a very structured way? Well, structure is the key to it. The first day of class, the professor hands out a syllabus, which is, for those of you who have not gone to college or any sort of higher education, a syllabus is a roadmap for the class. Okay, so you have your final exam at the end, you might have a project due a month before the end of the class, and you'll have 2 tests and 1 quiz, let's say. So what I would do is I would take the syllabus and I would get a big calendar, and then I'd take the syllabus, have a calendar next to it, a blank calendar, and then plot out. I would put like the tests in a red box on the calendar the day of the test. I'd put the paper, the term paper due that same way. A due date always had a red box around it. I'd write it on that day. But then what I would do is break it up. Okay, so that term paper was due in 90 days, let's say, from the time I got the syllabus. I wasn't sitting around the first week of class just doing nothing. I don't know what all the other students did, but the first day of class, got the syllabuses or syllabi and put them down on a calendar, filled out with red boxes around them, those absolute deadlines. Then what I did is I took those deadlines and I broke them up into parts. If it was a term paper, you have your research, you have your rough draft, you have your final copy. Okay, so in those 90 days, I would the first week of school, I would go to interlibrary loan and request library materials that weren't in my university's library, so that it would maybe take a week or so to get other library materials. And then I would also be checking out books in my own library. So I would put down on my calendar, I would write it out on a calendar by 10 days in, okay? So I would put a deadline 10 days after I got the syllabus and say, research complete, okay? And then 2 weeks after that, I would put another thing on the calendar, rough draft complete, okay? So that's how I broke up that one element of that syllabus, okay? So then I took the other elements of the syllabus, what did I say, 2 tests, the final, and then a quiz. And then let's say for a test, the week before the test, I would say start studying. Or if there were 5 chapters I had to study, I would say on this day study chapter 1, on this day study chapter 2, etc. Okay, and fill the calendar that way. So then if I took 15 hours, I would do that for every single class. I would take the syllabus and then I would break it apart and then take those parts and break them down and then put it all on the calendar. So if I had those 15 hours, those 5 classes, by the end of that first day of class, I had everything mapped out. And that was a huge relief. Because while other people a week before the term paper were due would be saying to me, Robert, I've got to get going on this project. I've got to get going on this paper. I would be, well, geez, my rough draft is almost all done, or whatever. And people would be scrambling around for library materials. And if it's one class, a certain, like, specifically themed class, like the Cuban Revolution or whatever, all the Cuban Revolution books, all the history books on Cuba, the sociology books on Cuba would all be checked out 2 weeks before the term paper was to be written. But I had already looked at those sources. I checked those out the first 2 weeks of class, because that's how I set up my calendar, my big calendar. Okay, so school's over. I have my 2 master's degrees and my bachelor's degree, and I'm 24 years old. I also learned 2 languages while I was in school and ready for corporate America. Well, corporate America sucks. I had my little career and, it wasn't for me. So then I started a business, okay? A business that I currently run almost 20 years later. And how I've approached every single project within my business and setting up the business itself was to pretend I was back in school and I had all of these syllabuses or syllabi from the professors, except I was the one creating this syllabus for success. Sounds catchy, but I ain't gonna write the book. Anyway, back to the methodology. I would say, let's say I wanted to plan a buying trip to Peru, or better yet, I wanted to spend $2,000 on Peruvian merchandise. Okay, so what would that do? How would I go about making this sort of a thing happen? Well, first I'd pick a deadline, just like in the syllabus in college. I'd pick a deadline someday, let's say July 15th, I want to have the Peruvian merchandise. Okay, so what do I have to do? It's going to take about a month for it to ship out of Peru, so I have to be in Peru by by June 15th. Okay, so then I plan a buying trip for June 15th. What do I have to do before the buying trip? Okay, research where I'm going to go. Maybe find contacts, arrange hotels, arrange planes, whatever. Each little element of each of those goals you put down on a piece of paper. You want to start a new branch of your business. You want to open up a new store. Any sort of goal you have, you can follow this, what I call the syllabus for success. Pretend you're back in college. Take that goal, have your own deadline, your own date in the future for that. Identify the components to get to that goal, break up those components, and put each little piece of those components on a calendar and hit those marks. Boom, boom, boom. Does it sound OCD? Does it sound like you're obsessing all the time? Actually, no. Because if you have it all on a calendar, it's like your accounting system, and it's like your exercise program in your life. It's running in the background. It's all set up. It's set up. It's running itself in the background. All you've got to do with your diet exercise program, your accounting, and this is tend to it every day just a little bit. Okay? And you can make little tweaks and adjustments on your calendar, on your syllabus for success. And that's allowed. But you stick to what you've written down. You hit those marks, and no stress. You just sit back, put in the work. I mean, I'm not saying relax by any means, because my biggest thing is you have to work really, really hard, and you will. I got those 2 master's degrees and the bachelor's degree in 6.5 years by doing this plan, by setting this up, and it took work. One graduate class I remember modern Latin American history, we had to read 1,000 pages a week. And there were people in that class who were PhD candidates, and that was their only class. Because the reading load, 1,000 pages a week, was just incredible. But I knew I was going to have to read that much, so I put out the calendar and say, okay, I'm going to read 125 pages this day, 125 pages this day. So you can do it. And when you break things up like that, to go back to what I was originally saying, then it's not stressful. Okay, it's taken care of. You have it down. Trust your system, and it works. I mean, it's worked for me over the past 25, 30 years. I've been doing this. So, you know, people marvel, oh, how did you pull this off? Oh, you're so lucky. You know, everything always works out for you. You always come out smelling like a rose. That's not true. I work really, really hard, but I do have this system. Now, I'm looking at the counter and I'm about 10 minutes into this video. There's really nothing else I can say about this, and I've repeated myself a couple times in this video for emphasis. Now, could I have written a book about this? I guess I could have, you know, embellished it, put a lot of BS, and then, or made it into a PDF file that you can download for $75, $79 and, you know, rip off a lot of people. But it's a basic, simple thing that I just wanted to share. So here it is. Use it. It works. It works. It was a survival tactic in school, and it works in real life too. So that's about it for this. Remember to always work hard, and may all of your entrepreneurial dreams come true. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Till next time, thank you for watching.